let's go ahead and get to it. The SEC Power Rankings. Are we starting from the bottom? Give me my bottom few and why they're horrible.
Yes, Drake style, starting from the bottom. And number 16 in the SEC Power Rankings. And I still believe in him, but Dave, Jeff Levy, Mississippi State have to be at the bottom. They are the worst team in the SEC. I think they're going to get better, but I mean, that's Toledo and then Florida. They're a bad team right now.
Yep, fair. And I don't know firsthand, but I imagine that the transfer portal hit them pretty hard after, the unfortunate transition from Mike Leach, and God rest his soul. And let's give Florida a little bit of credit for what they did. All right, who's next?
Yes, and okay, so next I've got Auburn at number 15. Not a good football team, losing to Arkansas 24-14. We will talk about the state of Auburn and Hugh Freeze, but I'm pretty sure that team is ready to quit on Hugh Freeze because he's thrown everybody out under the bus but himself. But it's indicative.
Yep. All right. Who's next?
Number 14 is Florida. Florida has moved up to number 14. Let's all give them a round of applause.
Way to go, Florida. Perhaps the best collection of talent near you of anybody other than Miami in the nation. And you have made Caleb Calhoun's bottom quarter of his SEC power rankings. Great job.
Impressive, right?
Sarcasm. I feel it.
At number 13 is, obviously, Dave, Florida doesn't have it as easy to recruit as the number 13 team, though, and that would be Vanderbilt. I mean, Vanderbilt is just a recruiting giant, right?
Yes,
huge. They barely lost to Missouri over the weekend. Should have won that game. I mean, it's crazy, but Vanderbilt's like 2 plays from being 4-0 right now in a top 25 team. That's so insane.
Now, I'll give Clark Lee all the credit in the world. Who's next?
All right, next is number 12, Kentucky. Blew out Ohio. I took the under in that game, and Mark Stoops decided he wanted to run it up in the end, so he punched in a touchdown with like 2 minutes left, which hit the over, which really, really upset me because that's not what Mark Stoops does. But yes, Kentucky is number 12.
Okay, who's next?
Next is our old buddy Shane Beamer in South Carolina. Say what you want about them barely beating Old Dominion at the beginning of the year and costing it with bad play calling in the LSU game. They're 3-1. At the end of the day, they're 3-1, and they still have that blowout win over Kentucky in their back pocket.
All right. Later on, I want to get to the good stuff. I want to tell you whether or not I think these guys are true college football playoff national championship competitors, because I think there's 4.
Okay. Number 10 is Arkansas. And by the way, Arkansas is poor clock management from Sam Pittman away from being undefeated too. But they did beat Auburn on the road. They look like a good team. The Bobby Petrino hire is working out. So kudos to them.
Yeah, and that's who Tennessee plays next. So be very aware of that. All right, who's next?
Number 9, and I actually could have put them at number 10 or number 11, but it's Oklahoma. And let's break down this game from Oklahoma's perspective for a minute, Dave, because we haven't really done that. Are you frustrated by Brent Venables' quick trigger on Jackson Arnold, or are you saying that Michael Hawkins is better?
Well, it doesn't matter. That wasn't the time to pull the trigger. That's a coordinator, not a head coach. That was not the time. You could have done it at halftime. You could have done it before next week's game. You could have done it leading into this game, which would have surprised Tennessee. And with the new defensive look, maybe you upset the Vols, but that was idiotic.
I agree, and it's also idiotic when people say, Michael Hawkins is the guy because of that fourth quarter. Yeah, when Tennessee was playing a vanilla defense and going up against a backup quarterback that they prepared less for than the starter, any backup quarterback is going to look good in that situation. Okay, so Michael Hawkins didn't prove anything. So I absolutely agree with you. It was a mistake. They're now down to number 9. Number 8, despite being undefeated, Dave, I had to drop Missouri to number 8. You can't struggle with Vanderbilt like that. I'm sorry, you can't. Not at home.
No, I agree. Unless you're Georgia, I'm going to give Georgia a pass whenever they do that until they prove me wrong, until they play poorly at Kentucky and it's a 1-point game and then they choke it. But so far now, they haven't done that against a lesser opponent. Who's next?
And Georgia wins the game in the end. Missouri got lucky in this one. Like
Exactly.
Georgia, yeah. Like Georgia, you're watching them just before I go next in. Like you're like, okay, whenever they decide to put this away, they'll do it. They don't feel like exerting that effort right now. All right, so number 7 is Texas A&M. It didn't look good against Bowling Green. I could have had them lower, but they kind of finished strong, and so I think they may have their offense. I think they could be coming around now with Mike Elko.
Coming around, yeah, that's what you expect first year, so I can go with that. Who's next?
Number 6 is starting to find themselves is LSU and Brian Kelly. Garrett Nussmeier is putting up Heisman stats. That does not mean that anything will come of it because they have lost. This may not last because I think Harold Perkins is done for the year. But honestly, Dave, I mean, that win against UCLA was still dominant, particularly the second half. And honestly, they were misusing Harold Perkins so badly anyway that as bad as it is that he's out for the year, it's like if Leonard Little went out for the year in 1997, which is to say that sucks, but honestly, you're not using him right anyway.
Yeah, for those that didn't know, he played middle linebacker instead of defensive end. Hit that like and subscribe button. I haven't told you that in a while, so please do that and make sure you've got your notifications on. Ring that bell because we'll have Cooper Warren brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Integrity matters over 50 years in Tennessee. We get to the top half of the SEC. Who's next in the power rankings, Caleb?
Wait, Dave, we just had him on. You didn't tell me that Cooper Mays married Jacob Warren. You just said what? Cooper Warren. You just said Cooper Warren.
Oh, no. Sorry. Cooper Mays. Sorry. Sorry.
You weren't even invited to the wedding.
No, it's been a long weekend. They make a great couple.
All right, so number 5. Now, you're going to disagree with me because you said 4, I say 5. I've watched enough. Ole Miss is number 5 in my power rankings, but they're a contender. They are a good football team, and they got a good coach, and they got a hell of a quarterback.
I told you that, Jackson. Why did you think I wouldn't be high on Ole Miss?
You said there's only 4 teams that are contenders. There's 5.
Okay. Well, I've miscounted. Hey, now. No, they're a contender, but they would be the lowest of my contenders based off I haven't seen them win in a different way than relying on Jackson Dart's incredibly accurate right arm. I haven't seen 12 personnel out of them. I haven't seen a smothering defense. So, Caleb, who's next?
Yes, number 4, and this is basically by not playing, they dropped a spot, but Alabama's number 4. No shame in being number 4. They're still right there on the list.
They're a national championship contender, and that's our poll question about Tennessee as we get to the top 3. The question I have for you is Tennessee a true national championship contender? Yes, no question. No, not yet. Maybe I need to see some more. Okay, who's next?
The answer, by the way, is yes, but Tennessee is number 3 in my power rankings for right now.
All right.
Yep.
And why are they not higher?
Well, because, again, my power rankings are who I would favor and who I think Vegas would favor based on what they've done to this moment. And it's one of those where I'm with you. I'm not going to get fooled by Georgia struggling at Kentucky. That's never something that's going to alter my opinions because of what we've seen Georgia do so often. So I can't put them ahead of Georgia. And you can make the case with Texas, and I still think Texas is going to get exposed, but those are the top 2. I might as well just say Georgia's number 2, Texas is number 1. But Hey now. But right now
they're both national championship contenders.
Yeah, they're both complete teams. I can't put Tennessee ahead of either one of them right now in my power rankings.
Because of the injuries on the offensive line, or what's holding you back?
Injuries on the offensive line. Right now, Georgia and Texas look a little bit more complete overall. Look, Georgia's win over Clemson is more impressive than any of Tennessee's wins, even though Oklahoma's an impressive one. But Clemson actually looks pretty good now. And look, we have to say this. Texas's win over Michigan, after what Michigan just did, pretty darn impressive.
I'll give you that. But when we go the comparative opponent game, were we too high on Southern Cal's defense when they beat LSU? And if so, does that make the Michigan win? I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole forever, but there's a part of me that doesn't believe Michigan nor Southern California are playoff or championship contenders. I'm taking this a step back. Making the college playoff is not a banner season anymore because they've got 12 teams. It's a good season, but it's not a banner season. A banner season is winning a title. Do you think either one of those teams, and we'll get to the a recap of the week, do you think either one of those teams can truly win a national championship?
Probably not, but I actually do think they would be more likely to do so than Oklahoma. And I do have to say that. If you ask, Dave, you have to bet a mortgage game, but someone's telling you right now, Michigan or Oklahoma is winning the national title at the end of the year, you're putting all your money on Michigan.
I would take Michigan. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that.